Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever it is that you're watching this, whether you're live with me on this day in October in New York City or watching it days, weeks, months from now, know that what we talk about today, this notion of embodying the divine feminine, and specifically through the particular goddess that we're going to focus on today, know that her energy, the energy of the divine feminine in all of her faces and all of her manifestations is available to us always. So while we may be, each week we celebrate a different goddess, usually tied in, but not always, with some sort of ancient festival or current festival that is going on around the world, honoring them. And just know that while that festival, hello Barbara, while that festival may be happening at this particular time, that we can call on them whenever we want. And the idea of the divine feminine and the fact that it really encompasses every part of our lives, and it's across genders, across cultures, it's universal. And particularly, I always like to say, it's really important now because the divine masculine, and there is also such a thing, gives us the really powerful tools of assertiveness and being rational and logical, and we need all those things. However, that's the not so divine masculine is what's brought us so much war and famine and a lot of the yucky stuff that happens in the world, has happened over the last several millennia. So bringing back, balancing that energy with the divine feminine, which lives in all of us, is compassion, is being sensitive, is being nurturing, honoring our intuition, honoring our emotions, really celebrating our connection to nature instead of feeling like we have to control it, which, as we know, with climate change, that's not working. And likewise, honoring our bodies. In medieval times, that was not something that we did, and I've talked about in other weeks, talking about other historical women, not necessarily goddesses, but Julian of Norwich and Hildegard von Bingen. They were ahead of their time, to say the least. But because of their connection to their bodies and celebrating the body as divine, celebrating our connection to nature as divine. So all of these wrapped up are wrapped up in the notion and the qualities of the divine feminine. And I like to think that all those different qualities we can draw to us by building our own inner goddess team. And that can fluctuate. Our inner goddess team represents those qualities of the divine feminine that we need to call on sometimes on a regular basis. Some of you may even have a particular goddess that's yours, that is very special to you, or you may have several. What I invite you to do is to learn about all of these. And I know so many of them, but I'm learning so much more, like the one we're going to talk about today. And understanding that we can use that energy, whenever we want. It doesn't have to be on their feast day. So if all that appeals to you, definitely, I'll say it now before I forget, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel where all of these videos end up. And today we're going to look at, she had a couple different names, the Egyptian goddess Selket or Serket. So either with a Q or a K, the Selket, but Selket as well. And she was the goddess of death in the Egyptian times. And she was the goddess that welcomed you into the underworld, kind of like Persephone did and other in the Greek mythology. But Selket was the one who particularly, and there's an amazing story. I love when these synchronicities happen. So this is an image of Selket. She is the protectress, and this is a clue to how you can very distinctly bring in her energy. She is the protector and the healer from scorpion bites and other venomous bites, snakes, but especially scorpions. You can see with my lovely Selket statue, this was given to me several years ago, and I honestly don't remember by whom. And I noticed at the time that there was a Scorpio on her head. I kind of know what Scorpios look like. I think we probably all have some image of them. And I had no idea what that meant. I just thought it was a beautiful image of some Egyptian goddess. And then when I started researching Selket, or Serket, whose festival day is on October 23rd, found out that she is the goddess of scorpions. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have her sitting on my shelf somewhere. So I am delighted to be able to show you this image of her, which I just love. So she was Selket, Serket actually, I think, means, let's see if I can find it, because the scorpion's bite paralyzes you, literally paralyzes your breathing, so that's how you die, that Serket's name, or Selket's name, means she who tightens the throat. However, it also can be read as she who causes the throat to breathe. So, and the reason for that is that she welcomes people, she welcomes those who have died into the underworld and gives them the breath of life so that they can continue on in the underworld. Now, this is the time of year, and you're going to be hearing more about this next week as well, and we certainly are hearing about it now as we move towards the end of October, which we all know as Halloween time, is actually based on a number of festivals and honoring of the dead, of ancestors, but those who have died over the last year or so. And I'm going to go into a whole big thing about that next week. But I will say before I forget, my Unitarian Church, Fourth Universalist Society, is doing their remembrance service. It's an annual thing that we do. We're actually doing it this Sunday. Those of you that are watching this now and can clue into that, it really is a beautiful service for honoring those that have passed on in the last year or in your life in general. This is the time of year, no accident, that Selket is honored now, where it's said that the veil is the thinnest between the living and the dead. So think about that. I mean, this is the time to be honoring those people, those loved ones that either you knew or didn't know it, because this is a big ancestor time, as we'll talk about with the Day of the Dead and some of those other ancestor festivals and celebrations around the world. So she was particularly thought to protect women and children, not just from, look at on my little notes here. She guarded all people, including the pharaohs, mothers, children, and her followers were actually priestly doctors who would heal people who had been stung by venomous creatures, not just scorpions, but other types of snakes too. And that protection continued into the afterlife, as I said, where she breathed life back, and she welcomed recently deceased into the underworld and breathed life back into them. She's known by the epithet of Lady of the Beautiful Tent, and what that referred to was the embalming tent, or Mistress of the Beautiful House, because it was said that she protected the canopic jar, that when pharaohs and everybody else were embalmed, their intestines were stored after embalming in these jars, and they were considered very sacred. And in fact, Selket was the one, there's a statue of her, apparently, that protects, that stands over Tutankhamun's tomb as a protector for him. So those are all the ways that you can draw on Serket. I keep saying those because I think she is known in different ways, to bring protection for you. So this is one of the things that I want to invite you to do each week, is to look at what's a particular quality. And so I ask you just to take a moment and think about where in your life do you need more protection, or to remember her, if not today or next week or next month. Remember that Selket is that energy is something that you can draw on to protect you when you're frightened. It doesn't have to just be from Scorpio bites. If you're hyperventilating, she is the goddess of breath, both the breath of life and the breath of death. If you are stung by something, certainly call on her. Let's hope that never happens. And this was where another coincidence came in, because the song that I wanted to share with you, not quite a chant, but it's one of my favorite songs, is from Sweet Honey in the Rock. If you don't know this South African group, definitely check them out. And the words are beautiful. Those who have died have never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in the home. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. And the name of that song, which I always forget, is Breath. Is breaths. So it kind of gave me the chills when I realized that what I wanted to sing for you today, as I like to share chants, hello Claudia, to be able to even find this song. And if there are times when you feel like you need Selket's protection, when you need her to restore calming breath to yourself, healing breath to yourself, she's the one that you would call on for that. There's other things I can tell you about. That's interesting. She's associated with the Western Cardinal Point, which the West is typically associated with death and rebirth in the Egyptian tradition. And then, as I said, also associated with the breath of life. So death and rebirth is about transformation. So she's a very powerful and protective goddess to draw on when you need that kind of energy. So the song from Sweet Honey and in the Rock, called Breaths, the stanza that I love goes like this. Those who have died have never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in the home. They are with us in the crowd. The death have a pact with the living. Those who have died have never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in the home. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. Listen to, and then I can't remember the rest of it, but it's listen, and then it goes whoosh, whoosh, just the breath going in and out. So, let me know, please. Leave some comments for me. Let me know how this energy of protection, of coming back to your breath, resonates with you, knowing that you can call on her whenever you need that kind of power and protection. Thanks so much for being with me, and come back next week for more deep, powerful, thinning veil information about this time of year and all of the really beautiful Day of the Dead types of celebrations we have. Namaste. Bye for now.